Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And there are no strings on me.
No strings.
Yeah,
You're not a
is
puppet?
it? Nope, apparently not.
Damn.
But anyway, welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Avengers Age of Ultron. And, it's kind of wild that we're finally here. Near the end of Phase 2, because technically Ant-Man was the last movie of Phase 2. But
That's kind of weird.
yeah, it's weird, but then the end of Phase 3 was Spider-Man Far From Home, and then Phase 4 didn't have an Avengers movie in it at all.
Hmm.
So, who even knows anymore? But regardless, so this episode will contain spoilers for Avengers Age of Ultron. In the link below, in the description below, you will find a link to Just Watch, which will have links to every place that you can purchase, rent, or stream this movie. Uh, our links are centered around the US. However, if you use the Just Watch app, it will automatically redirect you to your country's page. And if you use the website, you can change the country from the website page itself. Also in the description is a link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of this show and get access to episodes early, as well as episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books. Also in the description is a link to Anchor.fm, which contains links to every single platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified whenever we release a new episode. Next week, you can join us for our two Christmas special episodes, which, if nothing changes, should be Elf and Home Alone. So look forward to that. And with all that being said, if you would like to avoid spoilers, please leave now, because we are going to start
So,
digging into the movie.
um, I'm just thinking about what you said. You said in Phase 4 there wasn't a Avengers movie?
No, there was not an Avengers movie in Phase 4.
I thought Endgame was in Phase 4.
Endgame is Phase 3.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, Phase 3 had two Avengers movies. Although, really, Infinity War is more Thanos' movie than an Avengers movie.
Yeah. Well,
But, but
I just found that
regardless, we got
funny.
to talk about this movie. So I remember when this movie came out and I saw it in theaters, I actually really hated it.
Really?
Yeah, and I've been very harsh against this movie in the past, namely for how they handle Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Hmm.
Particularly Quicksilver. So we have not seen Quicksilver yet in the X-Men film series as far as like where we're watching it. However, an X-Men film that did have Quicksilver came out before this movie.
Okay.
A year before this movie. And I think what we see in that film is a lot cooler. However, this film is a lot more accurate to the comics when it comes to Quicksilver.
Really?
Um,
That's
yeah, it's,
weird.
especially since Wanda exists um, in this universe. But the problem is, Wanda's not accurate to the comics at all.
Hmm.
And she was one of my favorite characters when I actually read Marvel Comics. So it deeply
Interesting.
upset me. She is a lot more powerful than than the movie gave her credit for. Um, and I just got really annoyed by it, and I would continue to be annoyed by it until really Endgame, when they finally do showcase some of her power.
Hmm. That makes sense.
But
Um, as far for Quicksilver, and really this movie as a whole, like, what would you think about it now?
I still have problems with it. Still with
Hmm.
how Wanda and Pietro were managed. I something else I should mention. This movie actually gets his name right. The X-Men film series just calls him Peter. Um, so it's weird,
So
but
what you're saying is they got this character way right, and then what, Wanda not very much so?
yeah. And then there's the fact that they just kind of killed him off at the end of the movie. That just didn't sit right with me, especially since Wanda, like, in the comics, would literally have been able to bring him back to life with a snap of her fingers.
Hmm. Too OP needs to be nerfed.
Yeah, she's significantly nerfed by the fact that she's still human and can be killed by things as ordinary as a bullet, and also she doesn't really have the best mental health, and kind of can't control her power when she's breaking down,
Yeah.
which is something we will see later in the MCU. Um,
Hmm.
but regardless, I the other thing too that I have problems with in this movie is Ultron.
Hmm.
He is significantly less cool than in the comics. Significantly. Like, this movie did not do Ultron justice. Looking back on it now, it's okay because we have What If, and What If actually did Ultron justice.
What was the what if thing?
You will see later. But basically,
Title of the episode, though.
Ultron actually wins in What If.
Yeah, it's just that what if Ultron wins?
Yeah, but there's more to it because the next episode, like, there's a lot going on in What If.
Hmm.
But yeah, those things just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then the Black Widow and Bruce Banner romance thing,
Mhm.
that was just kind of weird and out of left field. I'm glad it only existed for one movie though,
Well, I kind
because
of liked it.
I don't know, any longer and it would have just felt weird. And also, we couldn't have gotten Thor Ragnarok, or we could have. It just would have been missing the Hulk because basically this movie set up the Planet Hulk storyline, and then Marvel abandoned that and combined it with the Thor Ragnarok storyline. So, like, if the movie Planet Hulk, which was like our second or third episode that we ever released,
Mhm.
if that were canon to the MCU, it would take place sometime after Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay. And then, so we won't
So,
be seeing Hulk for a while.
right. So another thing too, damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. Well, actually, thinking about it, it won't be too long before we see Hulk, because like we got to get through Ant-Man and then Civil War, uh, and I think Spider-Man: Homecoming and Doctor Strange, and then we get Thor Ragnarok.
So, I don't know much about the Avengers, well, Marvel in
Oh,
general, but Civil Wars, where they dress up the series up till this far, has been property damage to the movie, right?
yes,
Yeah, that's
and
what I thought.
yeah, this movie will very much tie into Civil War a lot. In fact, this movie is the catalyst for the events in Civil War.
I definitely can see that, yeah.
Also, something that I didn't recognize when I first watched this movie, even though I've read Marvel Comics,
Hmm.
we get a mention of a certain country for the first time in this movie.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, Wakanda.
I was wondering what you were
So
talking about, and I remembered it immediately.
yeah, this was the first time they've mentioned Wakanda or Black Panther at all. For some reason, I was thinking it was Civil War, but apparently it was this movie.
Hmm.
Good to know.
I forgot the
Also,
context.
basically the metal that vibranium. There was a guy who stole vibranium from Wakanda and was branded a thief.
Hmm.
So it was basically the metal that Ultron stole from that guy to create Vision's body.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, speaking about Vision, there's something I've really wanted to know, and I'm pretty sure you do not even have an answer for. But Vision can wield Thor's hammer, and that makes him worthy. But what does that even mean? What does it mean to be worthy?
The hammer, it's always vague, but it seems to be like it seems to be based on like your intentions, your motives at that particular point in time, because like
Hmm.
it's not a single judgment of your entire character. It's all like because there have been moments in the comics where Loki has wielded Mjolnir. Um,
Interesting. But then, like,
and then there's
you
been
know,
other characters even outside of Marvel comics who have wielded the hammer, like Superman and Wonder Woman.
okay, that's confusing. But so like I obviously know why Tony probably couldn't wield the hammer, but what about like Captain America? Um, or some of
well, the
the
thing
other people
is,
on Shield or in the Avengers?
well, Well, the thing is, with Captain America, the hammer actually moved. You could hear it move,
Hmm.
and it something from the comics is like you're not ever almost worthy. You're either worthy and can move the hammer, or you're not.
Okay.
So, yeah, um, he can definitely pick up that hammer.
So then why wasn't he able to?
Good question. We'll talk about that later.
Because I mean,
Not
he
in this.
definitely has that upper body strength.
Yeah. Um, but I don't think upper body strength matters because technically one of the powers of Thor is the ability to pick up the hammer, and the blessing on the hammer is whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Hmm.
So I actually don't think strength matters at all.
Then that just brings into question that if it's neither, all or none, and that hammer budged, what the hell's the deal? He should have picked it up the entire way if he was actually trying.
Maybe you're catching on to something here. Was he actually trying?
Wait, what? Huh. I guess I'll leave that as it is.
Yeah. But the other thing too is like this movie further explores the Infinity Stones, because of course we get the reveal that Loki's scepter was hiding the Mind Stone.
So, there's also a bigger thing in this movie that I want to talk about. One, there was an artificial intelligence in Loki's scepter, right?
In the Mind Stone, kinda, yeah.
Okay. So, Tony Stark thought it was the greatest idea to use that artificial intelligence to make this Ultron person. See, what I don't get is that he already had an AI, that being Jarvis, and now they're trying to see like this AI such revolutionary. Tony's already made it. It's called
Yeah,
Jarvis.
Jarvis is not nearly as robust as what was presented here. Of course, we do later learn that Jarvis does have some interesting capabilities, like being able to like prevent Ultron from accessing nuclear launch codes.
In his sleep, apparently.
Yeah. Which is wild to me. Granted, those I'm pretty sure those aren't even on the internet, and they are constantly changing. But whatever. I mean,
it's a movie.
Movies got a movie. Also, something too, like back on the Infinity Stones thing. This is the fourth Infinity. This is the fourth Infinity Stone we've seen. And Thor later calls this out in, like, at the end of the movie, that 4 of the Infinity Stones have turned up.
Okay, the interesting... I'm wondering something, and this is probably what you're just about to mention. One of those Infinity Stones was still hidden. How did he know?
I don't know what you mean by still hidden.
I mean the Infinity Stone that was in what was the movie? It was the last Thor movie we covered.
The Reality Stone? They already knew, like Thor already knew that was an Infinity Stone. Yeah. Okay, especially since the Collector straight up told him at the end of the movie in the post-credit scene.
I thought the Collector just told us. I didn't know he was telling
either that maybe that's the case.
Wait, sorry.
Way, Thor.
I in the post-credit scene of that. Okay, never mind. I see now. I see what you mean now.
Yeah. Regardless, Thor knows that the ether is the Reality Stone. Okay. The thing that's bizarre is the other Avengers do not know about the events of Guardians of the Galaxy, and we never see Thor learn about it, but this is implying that he knows what happened there.
Which, for some reason, I didn't find that too far-fetched that he wouldn't know what happened.
No, I don't find it very far-fetched at all, especially since we will learn later in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that word about everything that went down there got around a lot.
I don't think the rest of the Avengers would know the events that happened. Thor, though, probably.
Unless he told them.
That's also true. Though Thor's not very loose lips.
I mean, there was plenty of time for him to tell them, because the Avengers have been going after a bunch of Hydra bases. But this one in particular that they go after at the very, very beginning of the movie is the one with Loki's scepter. And the thing is, there is a certain someone who tipped them off that you don't know about yet.
Agent Romanoff. I'm kidding.
And they don't know that this person tipped them off either.
Do the person that tipped them off know who they are?
Yes. I'm pretty sure they know their own self.
It's a possibility.
But yeah, basically a lot of stuff in this movie ties into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. One thing in particular that you don't know without watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is how Nick Fury got his hands on another helicarrier. Because, reminder, at the end of Winter Soldier, S.H.I.E.L.D. only had 3 helicarriers and they were all destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is a big question I want to ask. obviously we are going to cover Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but is that important? Like, could you watch the entirety of the movies and, let's just say, the short TV shows and get the entire plot without watching it?
Yes, you could.
Okay.
It like all the Marvel television shows from before Phase 4 are really just kind of side stories that are going on that have minimal crossover with the movies and uh with the movies.
So basically, in Lane's terms, from almost like lore dumps.
Yeah, I mean, they could be seen as lore dumps, but I consider them side stories more than anything.
Hmm. But like that's the entirety of why they exist. It's just to deliver lore. One of
I
the
mean,
reasons that they exist, I guess.
I would say the reason is for, more stories, but hey,
Hmm.
whatever.
I don't know. I think I just like lore too much, you know?
Yeah. But so yeah, we've seen four stones. We've seen the space stone with the Tesseract. We've seen the reality stone, which was the ether. We have seen the power stone in Guardians of the Galaxy, and in this movie, we see the mind stone, which turns out was Loki's scepter in the Avengers. So,
So, we will not be seeing the Soul Stone until Thanos gets it because
yeah,
that's way too obscure. And then what's the last stone?
the time stone. We will be
Right.
seeing that relatively soon. But
Hmm.
also, remind me after this episode, after we're done recording,
Hmm.
because we need to talk about Spider Man Homecoming. Because I don't know how we're going to cover that movie.
So, can it not be on Disney Plus?
It is not, and it can't be.
Don't I? Obviously, we're going to be talking about this off camera, but don't we already have a way to watch that?
No, the archive that I got for us does not have any MCU Spider Man movies aside from No Way Home.
Hmm. So that is a problem. When are we
Yeah, it
going
is a
to?
problem.
When will this problem start to catch up with us? Because we still have a few
Like,
movies.
yeah, like probably 3 to 5 months away.
Ugh. I mean, that seems so
Yeah,
far away now, but
we'll
yeah,
we'll have to figure something out, and I may be able to find something. Who knows? We'll see.
got it.
But
But back on this movie.
just uh, so it's gonna be fun when we get the other Infinity Stones. I do really really enjoy Thor's character in this movie.
I
Uh,
really did enjoy some of the humor as well.
Yeah. Although it's kind of weird to me that some of the humor they worked in with Ultron, like him forgetting the word for children, that just seems like something that wouldn't happen with a computer.
Yeah, though I think one of my favorite lines of Ultron was, "Don't you thought you were the only one stalling?"
Yeah. I also really love Vision and how there's some really funny humor with him. Because, like, at the end of the movie, Ultron says to Vision that he's unbearably naive. And Vision's like, well, I was born yesterday.
Yeah, that was funny. Also, the
Yeah.
banter between Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America is just.
Yeah. The
What
whole
if you?
language joke, the whole language joke where they keep making fun of Cap runs throughout the whole movie, and it's great. I'm glad it only sticks around for one movie because if it continued into other movies, it would have gotten old.
Definitely, but also the if you put the hammer in an elevator, it'll move. The elevator's not
Yeah.
worthy.
I mean, somebody did try to hook up their truck to the hammer and try to move it that way, and that sure as heck didn't work.
But what if Thor was piloting that truck?
Probably. but I don't think Thor knows how to drive.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, someone should
But
probably teach Thor how to drive.
why? He can just throw his hammer and go wherever he needs to go.
Hmm.
Because
I mean,
that's
what if
really
in
how
just a
he.
hypothetical situation where he just lost his hammer to someone else?
Eh, that.
Dodge that
Mm,
advertising is what Thor: Love and Thunder is very heavily advertised.
yeah. There's been a lot of heavy advertising for MCU stuff lately, and kind of I kind of don't like it because, in particular, when I'm taking you through the MCU and you've never seen most of the content before, you're kind of just getting spoiled on some stuff.
Especially, and I think it's okay to say because, well, I mean, the MCU blatantly spoiled it, and if you if you got away with through all those ads, I commend you. But those ads blatantly just say that like Thor doesn't have his hammer anymore. That's to someone else.
Yeah, and the trailer kind of gave that away too, like even before the movie came out. But we did kind of already know that he didn't have his hammer
Hmm.
even before that trailer,
I'm going to
for
say that
reasons.
like will he just continue not having the hammer for the rest of his life?
Well, there's a question on whether or not there's even going to be any more Thor movies.
That's a little bit sad.
Yeah. People really are turning against the guy who directed the last two Thor movies, and I
Really?
don't really agree with the points that they're making. I think Thor: Love and Thunder was a good movie. Not necessarily that great, but it was a good movie, and it was better than either of the first two Thor movies. But
Hmm.
that's my take on it, and I know it's not everyone's take.
Yeah. I'd
And
be
and
really
Thor three
sad.
is Thor 3 is phenomenal. It's one of the best Thor movies. Most people will agree that the third Thor movie is the best one.
But we're only on 4 Thor movies, and you just said the last 2 Thor movies.
Yeah, the guy directed both of them, and people are really not happy with the second one he did.
So then, why should he stop directing Thor movies? And everyone has a bad movie either way, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, like Chris Hemsworth has been saying, he's not particularly happy with how the director was handling it.
Hmm. Chris
But
Hemsworth is
regardless,
Thor, right?
yes. But
That's what I thought.
regardless, back on this movie,
Oh, of
I
course.
do. So another thing too that they have teased, there's a character in this movie named Helen Cho, um, and she was the doctor. She basically healed Hawkeye and helped create Vision.
Hmm.
But the important thing is, I'm pretty sure she's the mother of Amadeus Cho in the comics. We have not gotten more on that since
Who
she was introduced.
the hell is Amadeus Show?
Uh, One of the smartest people in Marvel
How
Comics.
did I get that first try?
He is one of the smartest. Uh,
Interesting. Um,
but yeah,
well, like Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is pretty smart. I mean, he is a brain surgeon, so yeah. um, but he's also very, very lacking in common sense. And you will see that when we get to the movies.
That's concerning.
Yeah. I mean, he's the kind of guy to text while driving.
Okay. I guess I'll see more about that later.
Yeah. So, I do. Okay. So, I do think I probably enjoy this movie more now uh, than I did back when it first released.
Hmm.
Um, that said, I still think it's the worst Avengers movie.
I mean, I can almost see that because, I mean, from what I know from about the other two Avengers movies and the Avengers movie we just, we already covered, yeah, they're still pretty good.
Yeah, like the worst Avengers movie is like saying the worst Beatle.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to. I'm pretty sure you meant the worst Beatles song, but I'm just thinking like the insect.
No, I meant the worst person in the group, not the worst song.
Oh,
Because they definitely have a song that is considered to be their worst. I just can't remember what it is. Um,
either way, my brain still went to the worst insect, the worst beetle insect.
hmm. But yeah, like I definitely think it's weak. And I do also love how there's like some banter about maybe Hydra will finally be gone. Haha, haha. Yeah.
Funny. Uh, I mean, I don't know how much I can take of Hydra. I'm
Yeah,
glad
I'm
that
kind
they're
of
kind of spread out. So like, it's not Hydra again.
yeah, and I don't know if Hydra continues to be a thing past Agents of Shield season 3.
Hmm,
Um I do know that Agents of Shield season 3 takes place after this movie. Um
interesting. So obviously, Agents of Shield is like their main enemy is Hydra at the beginning, right?
yeah, at least for I would say for season 1 and season 3. Yeah.
Interesting.
Season 2 kind of went down a different route and told a different story that had pretty much nothing to do with Hydra.
Would you say it's still good?
Mm, somewhat.
Interesting.
It is at the very least enjoyable to watch.
Hmm, I'll take that.
But yeah, I definitely think there's elements to this movie that are good, and then there's elements to this movie that just kind of annoyed me as a comic book fan that I think a lot of other people can look past.
Especially me, who is not comic books burn my skin. I'm kidding, but
And then
reading.
there's also a particular scene that people take issue with, and I kind of get it.
Hmm,
Um, so there's a scene where Bruce Banner and Natasha are talking about their infertility, and like they are specifically talking about infertility. And Natasha says, "You still think you're the only monster on the team," and that that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and I definitely get that.
hmm.
Because like being infertile doesn't exactly make you a monster, and that's I think the important thing here is that I don't think that's what the writers were trying to say. I think they were trying to say that this is what Natasha believes about herself.
Well, I was also like thinking that it wasn't necessarily just being infertile, but also the people that she's killed, the entire reason why she's infertile to begin with. You know,
Yeah, everything involving the Red Room is a mess. We'll kind of learn some more about it.
like isn't that like an assassin's thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really what I thought what she meant by monster. Like she used to be an assassin.
I mean, the thing is, like, she says the line immediately following talking about why she's infertile.
Yeah, I understand why that could rub people the wrong way. I'm just saying, I didn't really see it like that. I saw it, and that's probably what the writers maybe intended. I can't really speak on their behalf, but
Yeah. So there was something else I wanted to say. The scene with when Vision lifts Thor's hammer.
hmm.
It has taken me a while to come around to this scene, but I do think it's a genuinely amazing scene because Vision comes to life and literally everyone is distrusting of him immediately. Um, they all want to fight him, and of course, he would actually destroy them all if that actually ever happened.
No,
But
look who's OP.
it is a beautiful scene. To the point is like they need a way to get the other Avengers to trust him, but they also can't waste a lot of time. So the writers decided, why not let him pick up Thor's hammer?
Is
That
that comic book accurate?
I'm pretty sure it is. I don't
Okay.
know for certain, but I'm pretty sure Vision can in fact lift his hammer.
And
Um,
I see Thor was in the most appalled. And I like what he did right after that was pat Tony on the back saying good job.
yeah. Even though it was mostly Banner doing the work there, because like
Oh
the
yeah.
issue, the difference with Ultron is that almost everything about that was purely electrical, there was no biochemistry stuff going on, whereas there was with Vision. Because the weird thing about Vision is that he's partly organic.
Hmm.
It's
And
weird.
Tony knew that he needed a Banner this time.
Yeah, yeah, because biochemistry is his area of expertise. Um,
I was wondering about that scene, and it's interesting how Tony didn't immediately go with his fear. He knew what needed to be done.
yeah. At the same time, though, I find it hard to believe that Tony's not in jail at the end of all of this.
That's also a good point, yeah.
Because, like, I don't know. It's a sure he's got a lot of money, but I don't think any amount of money can recover you from almost ending the entire human species.
Hmm. I've seen a lot of millionaires get away with some things. I'm pretty sure he has
Nothing
more
that
money than
big.
millions.
Nothing ever that big. But,
I mean, I get there's
well,
also something to say when you're also the one helping, risking your life to fix what you caused.
yeah, but the fact that I don't know,
Fiction
at
loves,
least
I'm just going to
uh,
say something that I've noticed upon all of fiction, and obviously there's outliers and people with writing makes common sense, but if you fix what you caused, that suddenly outweighs everything that you caused. That's
I
a
don't think it
big
does.
thing. That's just something I've seen in fiction a lot.
Yeah, and I do think like it's nice that later we will see Tony try to take responsibility. Um, but then when he is taking responsibility, it does kind of he
Backfire?
does do some no, it's not that it backfires. He does some things when we see him taking responsibility that aren't very responsible.
Hmm.
But we'll get into that because we'll be covering Civil War in February, I think.
Oh, great. It
But
happens in Civil War.
yeah. But anyway, I think I've covered pretty much everything I want to say about this movie. How about you?
Yes, however, it feels like we barely talked about this movie at all. More like just
I'd
Marvel as
say,
a whole.
I'd say we talked about it a lot. But I mean, that's my stance. I mean, we talked
Hmm.
about the Infinity Stones, and the other thing too with this movie is how it's like a trailer for a lot of different movies, and I didn't particularly like that either. Um,
Oh, great!
like
We
the
got
first
another
event,
Captain America, the first Avenger.
yeah, pretty much. Except that this movie is a trailer for multiple different movies.
Hmm.
It's like, hey, let's advertise that Black Panther might be a thing later. And then, like, also, Infinity War is coming, and the post-credit scene in this movie is directly teasing Infinity War, and also would have made more sense at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, but who cares?
Yeah, it almost wouldn't make sense at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. However, I don't think it makes sense in like that sort of timeline. It would
It would
almost make
have, because, like, the whole plot of, like, that movie is that Ronan was supposed to bring Thanos the Power Stone, but then kind of betrayed him to go and do his own thing.
Mhm.
The post-credit scene in this movie is Thanos putting on the gauntlet and saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Nothing in this movie had anything to do with Thanos or delivering the Infinity Stones to him, aside from just that one scene.
I think what I mean to say is that I feel like more time would have passed from Guardians of the Galaxy to here, where Thanos actually got the Infinity Stone, the Infinity Gauntlet.
Maybe, but I feel like the reason that they put it here was simply because they knew more people would see it.
Actually, that also makes sense. And there's argument to be made by that because this is a very important. This is a turning point in the series. I think
In
we're
a way,
now
yeah.
focusing on Guardians of the Galaxy was starting this turning point, but now it's Thanos. It's all about Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos is coming, and our heroes don't know it yet.
But they
That's the
will
scary thing. That's the scary thing. They won't know it until he's here.
until it's too late. Yeah,
Yeah. And the thing is, he is waiting.
waiting
That's the
for what?
thing. There are three people who are alive right now that
Hmm.
can defeat Thanos, or that he believes can defeat him, and
So
he
he's
is
waiting
waiting
for
for
his
them.
death.
Yeah, he is waiting for those characters to be out of the picture, and they will get out of the picture in quick succession.
Interesting. But I guess at the end of the day, we're kind of stalling.
Yeah, we are kind of stalling. So I will get into the critic ratings now. So, IMDb gives this movie a 7.3 out of 10.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes gives it 76%.
Hmm.
Metacritic has it at 66%, and 85% of Google users liked this movie.
Okay. Um, when it comes to Avengers, and obviously I don't have the comics weighing me down on this rating. I will have to say this is probably one of the stronger ones I've seen thus far. I think when all the Avengers are together, their conversation is just 10 times better.
Yeah. And also, just before you give your rating, I
Hmm.
also want to. I also have some complaints about Phase 2 overall, but I will save it for the retrospective, so look forward to that.
I'll ask my question after I get my rating. Um, so honestly, I'm thinking very low 8, so 8.1.
I think I'm giving this movie a 7.4.
Okay. And
Yeah,
my question is, are we're covering Ant-Man next month, right?
yes, we are. That's something you guys can look forward to. Ant-Man releasing next month, and like
And
we said, probably Elf and Home Alone releasing next week.
mhm. But I guess my point was technically Ant-Man was the end of Phase 2, and then we're going to be doing the Phase 2 retrospective.
Yes, I already have the Phase 2 retrospective written down on the schedule.
Got it.
So, yeah, look forward to that. And until next time, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you.